So following Disney's D23 event last weekend, we got to see some incredible leaked footage from the upcoming Daredevil Born Again series, including an incredible shot of his different masks. So let's get into the video and see what the Marvel team has cooked up for us and what figures are available. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'll be diving into some of the costumes featured in the Daredevil Born Again series, both confirmed and unconfirmed. This shot that you see here was actually leaked from footage shown to attendees during the D23 event. Now they actually showed an entire preview to those who were lucky enough to attend the actual event, and there was one particular shot that really drew a lot of buzz to the folks that joined and all over social media. Right? And this is just a picture you see here, which includes the 5 different Daredevil masks that will be featured in the upcoming series. I want to get a video out to you guys that really talk about the costumes and available collectible figures that you can purchase that relate to them and see what's currently available. So let's get into it. Before diving into the details of each of the costumes and figures, I kind of want to quickly give you guys this comparison. Now, this comparison features the most known costumes in recent live adaptations, right, for the TV series. Now, you can see here on the first and left-hand side, it all started with the Netflix suit, right? Now, after Netflix series was canceled, the rights eventually went back to Disney, allowing them to leverage the character however they wanted, right? Which is great. It did go MIA for a while, but you can see here in the middle his first appearance back and into the actual Disney Marvel universe was in She-Hulk. And then last but not least, on the third picture here on the right hand side, you see that the current iteration of his small screen suit is from the new and upcoming Daredevil Born Again TV series, which will be coming out to Disney Plus in March of next year. Right. So next we'll dive more into the details of each one of these costumes and whether or not there are any cool collectible figures available for them. But again, I want to give you guys a quick recap of what's currently out there, right? So we'll start off with the second mask here on the left, actually, just because this is most known live action suit. This suit was introduced in the Netflix series, and in my opinion, it's the best live adaptation suit. Right, it's better than Ben Affleck's suit that we saw many years ago, which wasn't bad, all things considering, especially for that time. But this would really give it sort of a home run. It looks really relatable in terms of what a street level action hero would look like. Looks functional, and also allowed toy manufacturers to really create figures after this model, right? So you got to see everything from figures to statues to those Funko Pops, and many different collectibles, right? Which is great. Now, in terms of what the collectible figures are that are available out there, some of the best and highest selling iterations of figures came from both Hasbro and Hot Toys. In terms of Hot Toys, they did release their version, several years back, and obviously it's not available for general purchase anymore since it has been discontinued. But you can likely get your hands on it from potentially a private seller, right? But overall, the actual suit design by Hot Toys, it was great. It matched the suit and the figure model perfectly, in my opinion, except for maybe that the figure itself is a little on the skinny side. Otherwise, the suit itself was matched one to one very well. All the lines, all the details, Charlie Cox's face, everything, and the accessories that you saw in the series were also included in the set as well. So overall, a great collectible figure from Hot Toys, and I'm glad I actually have one of these because they're very difficult to get your hands on today, right? Moving on to the third mask, right? So you can see here, this mask is actually featuring what we've seen most recently from the She-Hulk series. Right now, here's a shot of Matt Murdock and Jennifer Walters together, following their infamous one night stand in this series. I'm still not sure how I feel about this suit overall. It's definitely not my favorite suit. I do like the design of the actual costume itself because it does feature some really nice cuts and lines, especially used in the chest area. It makes it look very functional without adding extra layers of bulk, which is good. But I dislike the colors, right? I wanted them to add less mustard and maybe a little more red or black, or maybe even how it would have been yellow, just as lines throughout the costumes and not the actual like mask and arms and legs, right? But overall, the suit does look cool, but just not a big fan of the colors. In terms of the collectible figures that's been released, most recently, Hot Toys has released and a really nice figure for this, right? So it's again, it's out of stock from almost any retailer you can find, but you should be able to get them again from a private seller or even on sites like eBay, right? Depending on who's willing to sell them. But overall, it is an excellent suit and designed by Hot Toys. Right, again, it's a great match, just like the original Netflix suit. You know, 1-to-1. The glasses were a really nice addition. I really like how they included that. All the accessories that you saw from her series also included in the set. But overall, the premium feel, the toy, the costume, and the match look great. So I'm really glad that Hot Toys was able to create an iteration of this suit because it came out very very well, right? Now, moving on to the fourth mask here on the list. Here's a nice picture of a great fan design art of what Matt could have looked like with the suit on, right? So shout out to Spider-Man for putting this together. 'Cause it looks phenomenal, right? Now moving on to the costume itself, the cowl does have some differences, or rather the mask, right? The horns look a little thinner, a little less prominent. Otherwise, the mask itself looks the same as the others. And in terms of the costume, I really love the red accents on the black and suit overall. I'm hoping that they bring some sort of version of this into Born Again, and if they do, it'll be great because this costume has a much more grittier feel and more badass feel, in my opinion. Right, so I really like the red accents and how most of it's black and less red. But overall, I do love the Shadowland costume in terms of just how it looks and kind of the functionality it gives. Right now, there aren't really any premium Shadowland figures out there, like by Hot Toys or other retailers, but there are a lot of plastic material based figures, most notably Marvel Legends, which has released a really nice model of it. Right here, you can see that the Marvel Legends figure itself is very similar to what they had in the comics. The paint application isn't too bad. The coloring is a little flat, right? Because it's just flat black, so nothing too dynamic there. But I do like the red billy clubs and the accents on the hands and the feet that stand out very well, right? And overall, again, I love this costume and look and feel because it makes him look more stealthy in nighttime, especially when he's battling the thugs in New York City, you know, against any bright lights. So the figures that Marvel Legends released, great, and I really like this costume overall. Now, moving on to the most current iteration of of his costume, right? This is the new Disney Plus costume, and here's a shot of it worn by Charlie Cox's stuntman. Now, as you can see here, his costume is much brighter red, right, than his Netflix costume. It's a thing that Disney likes to do. You can even tell with what they've done with Deadpool, how they made his costume brighter red as well, right? So they like going the brighter color approach for some reason, but nevertheless, not too bad. Now, at first glance, it's a pretty good looking suit. It does look a little bulky in some areas, especially like the legs, the trapezoid. Also, it looks like they put maybe a little too much padding in the shoulder areas, and it kind of reminds me of some of the suits used in the DCEU, kind of like what Shazam was wearing, right? But again, they may cut some of this out via CGI later on, so this may not be the final design. It may look a little different in the series, but overall looks pretty good. It's similar to Netflix series. It just has also a lot less details to it. The chest area, right, I get a little more flat, a little more padded, but overall it looks pretty good. Now there aren't any figures, collectibles, or designs for it as of yet, but I am expecting Hot Toys to and or Hasbro probably to announce their versions of this figure probably around Q2 or early Q3 of 2025 next year. You know, Hot Toys has done iterations of the previous two versions of the TV series, so it makes sense that it'll do it again, right? And Hasbro just does everything, right? And I expect it again since the series comes out in March of 2025. I'm hoping that the retailers will announce and reveal some of these of their corresponding figures shortly after that, right? Now, in terms of getting a quick closer comparison between the Disney Plus and Netflix suits, you can kind of see here. Here's a nice comparison shot, and you see how much more redder and brighter the Disney Plus version really is, right? Again, you can see it is much flatter. It doesn't have those armor accents around the shoulders, the chest areas, and then the Disney Plus costume also on the mask itself does have some extra material on it to match the suit, right? So overall, I still like the Netflix suit a little more better, although the Disney Plus one is a little more comic accurate in terms of coloring. And I'll just reserve my full thoughts until I see a final model of what it looks like on a small screen. Overall, pretty good, but I still like the Netflix suit the best. Now, in terms of the last one on the list, here, this is the most interesting because it's the least most known costume out there out of the five. Now, there's some ideas and rumors floating around the internet, which kind of point to what this probably is, and it's likely modeled after purified costume, which was introduced in the comics, and I believe 2023. It might have been introduced before that, but I think what I've seen is it was introduced 2023. I personally haven't read that particular run yet, but I'll definitely do so shortly after this video. And it relates to kind of the hand of God, right, where he becomes a warrior for God, goes down to hell, but it wants to bring that bright light fight with him. So that's kind of why he's in white versus the red, right? Overall, the costume is cool. I'm curious to see if they're gonna bring it into the series, and if they do, I'm sure it'll look somewhat relatable to the classic costume, and it's definitely a change from his gritty badass feel, but overall not too bad. And in terms of like possible figures that they may come out with, right? Since it's very similar to classic costume, with his underwear it's kind of sticking out, I'm sure they'll make some figures that are very similar to it, just painted in white. Now, we could also be completely wrong. It may not be the purified. It could be one of two other ones. In my opinion, it could maybe be the armored suit. So in the comics, there's an armored suit here that has, and you can see in the picture that there's some light gray tint to the mask. I myself am a big fan of the suit. I'm hoping they bring it to life in some way, shape, or form in the series. But nevertheless, it may be the armored suit, which would be cool and make a little more sense for the series. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Or guys, it might just be as simple as an unpainted mask, right? Maybe he didn't want red, or since he's blind, just didn't really care about the colors, right? Initially, so he just left it unpainted, right? But we don't know. Nevertheless, we'll see when the series drops in March of 2025. But right now, I think all bet is on the purified mask, right? So there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments if you're excited as I am for this new TV series, and if you'll be picking up any of these Daredevil figures as well. Right, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button for more content on the coolest superhero collectibles around. And until next time, folks, keep on collecting.